Welcome, everybody. This is our masterclass on specifically how to win with paid ads and social media. Those of you who don't know me, I'm Doc Corey Frogley, and I'm going to be walking you through really what we have learned over the last year with rolling out powerful AI tools to break down the marketing system to help fill your practice with new patients. And I'm not holding back. I'm actually presenting this from the very viewpoint that I sat and worked with dozens of marketing agencies when I built my practice. I built it up to about $4 million a year. And in that process, there was a time when I was running marketing campaigns for multi locations at an $88,000 a month budget. And that was powerful to watch the data and watch those things happen. And so I've worked with marketing agencies where I've been extremely disappointed. I've worked with marketing agencies that have been pretty powerful. We launched a marketing agency just a year ago. And in this last year, being the data-driven practice, we have been watching the data. We have been dialing in what's working, what's not. And I wanted to put together a presentation for you guys so you can see exactly what's producing the best results. If you're like me, I don't want just leads. I want quality leads. And one of the difficulties with paid ads is that that's not really the highest place where we get paid ads, but I'm going to show you what you can do immediately, working with your agency, running your ads, however you're doing it, what you can do immediately that's going to make all the difference in the world in order to fill your practice with new patients, but not just any new patients, high quality new patients. So in this presentation, this is what we're going to cover. I'm going to talk about goals because, we're the data-driven practice, and what would be a presentation without understanding goals, but specifically the goals you should be setting to drive your ad strategies. I'm going to be talking with you about crafting your marketing message. It's so much noise in the space now, and especially with AI tools, you see more content being created, but less clarity. And so, what are we seeing resonating with leads? Why are they clicking? How are they actually scheduling? And it really comes down to this concept of a message match. I'm going to talk to you about creating a content calendar. We're going to go through what metrics that you should be tracking so that you stop wasting money. These are the things that are going to absolutely help you crush your strategies. I've got to ask you for a favor though, because things are so busy in our digital world. I'm going to just invite you to be present with me, whether you're here live in our Zoom room, or if you're joining us streaming to Facebook, or if you're just watching the replay. This is incredibly powerful information. And I just don't want it to glaze by you. I want you to be present. I want you to get a tremendous amount of value out of this. And so it means turning off the distractions. I want you to actually shut down your notifications. I want you to ignore notifications. Like, be fully present. I promise you that this training is packed with revenue impacting content that literally will be life-changing for you. So, with that being said, if you stay to the end, I've got some special gifts for you. You should have a workbook already for this presentation. We built a workbook for you, but I'm also going to give you a checklist. So by the end of this presentation, you'll have a checklist of implementing the very things that I'm going to share with you. I'm also going to share with you how to generate consistent qualified leads, how to fix ads that aren't converting, and again, the exact metrics that your front desk should be tracking so that you are hitting your goals and seeing significant growth. So the checklist, when you get this at the end, we'll drop the link. We'll also put this for the replay. The checklist will allow you to go through and work with your team so that as a team, you have a very clear roadmap that is going to help you create really high impactful information. So again, for those of you who have been working with me for a long time, welcome, welcome. Those of you who this is the first time even hearing from me, why should you listen to me? Well, it's because I am a chiropractor, first and foremost. Not just any chiropractor. I was the son of H. Ronald Frogley, the executive vice president to David Palmer during the 60s and early 70s before David passed away. My dad is the co-founder of the Thompson Technique. And so I grew up in this profession, loved this profession, and I built my practice in the transition from analog to digital marketing, right? I lived in the dot-com explosion with all of these amazing tools that we now have. And because I've been now building technology companies for the last decade, I now have almost 12 years of experience of building technology that is now being used in the chiropractic space. I've hired dozens and dozens of marketing agencies. I've worked with thousands of chiropractors, and I'm probably the chiropractor that's been in the most chiropractic data in our entire profession. I've been in thousands of practices databases. I've been reviewing data, data trends. We've been looking at this data. I have now created seven-figure systems to help practices not only around the US, but globally. It's been powerful working with practices across the globe and seeing these trends. We're not just guessing anymore. It's not just leading your practice by gut feel. We've built this down to specific metrics that if you track, it's science. It's predictable outcomes. You can see it. We use a term in the agency called the math has to work. It really comes down to just math. We know specific numbers that if we hit them, it will produce these predictable outcomes. And that's what I want to share with you today so that you can follow the math and make sure that that math is working for you. This isn't what some agencies that are just spinning up and trying to get into the space. This is born out of necessity to help our seven-figure practices get the new patient leads that they desperately need. And this is why I love the data-driven practice. This is why I love our systems because they are life-changing. We actually honor our members by awarding them seven-figure awards. These are docs that have been there, done that with our very systems that I'm going to show you today. Whether you implement these on your own, whether you want a little help implementing these, I just want you to implement them. That's the power of these, because if we can help you implement these, they will be life-changing. We do have an amazing, you know, opportunity with a roadmap that allows you guys to be a part of a seven-figure community. It's called the Data Driven Practice Facebook group. If you follow my personal pages, right, we're dropping constant, valuable information on our social media channels. Would love to invite you just to follow us there for free content. Again, my mission, my passion is to get more patients under holistic healthcare. I want them accessing chiropractic care. I want them accessing proper nutrition. I want them accessing proper lifestyle. I want all of these things accessible to your communities. And I have found that I personally can get more patients under care by actually growing your practices. And so this is a partnership. I'd love to just be friends with you, to partner with you in any way that I can. And so if you follow my channels, if you like my content, we will literally be dropping free content like this consistently. You can look back at past presentations on helping understand how to build A-play or teams, how to build scalable systems, how to fuel your practice with organic new patients. We've got presentations that will really, really help you grow and fill your practice. So with that understanding, here's the question that I want you to ponder for a second. And I would love for those that are with me here live, I would love for you to put this in the chat. Will you guys mind doing this? And if you're watching the live stream, please just drop this in the comments because I would love to see that. What's the toughest part of using paid ads and social media to grow your practice? Like what are you struggling with? What barriers are you finding? Because I would love to weave that into this presentation. I would love to answer those tough challenges and put that in here for you so that you get benefit. I'm going to give you the frameworks and I'm going to give you the playbooks, but if I can customize that to your specific questions, I would love to do that. So drop those in the comments. I'll read those as we're going through. and answer those for you. What's the toughest part of running ads for you? What's the toughest part of using these to grow your practice? Just drop that in the chat. Like I said, please make sure you download the workbook. If you're live with me, we've put that in the chat for you. Go ahead and click on that. Go ahead and take that to the link where you'll download the workbook. It is digital. It has editable fields, so you'll be able to just download it, click into the fields, and start as you follow along this presentation, you'll be able to put in the content and the data. So make sure you have that. If you're following along on our live stream, please look for the link in the comments. We'll drop that in there for you so that you can also follow along with the workbook. The workbook, we spent a lot of time on this. We wanted to make sure you had a lot of value coming out of this. If you're going to spend this time with me, I don't want it just to be entertaining. I actually want it to be extremely valuable, that you walk away from this immediately ready to implement these action steps that will transform your practice. Some of these pain points that you guys are dropping in here, I love, and this is I'm going to weave this into our training today. One of the comments was just low awareness and low show rates, and that is the biggest issue, right? With a lot of paid ads. Organic works a little bit better, but with paid ads, there's not much awareness, and so we're going to talk about how we will solve that problem today. Another problem came in just knowing whether an ad actually is working or reaching our target markets. 100%. That is a great point. And I will also show you the metrics that you're going to be tracking in order to know and solve that very thing. Those are some great, great pain points. I want to start with this, and in your workbook, or if you're following along, I wouldn't mind you putting this in the comments as well if you guys would have this conversation with me, is why? Like, why is it important for you to have a profitable practice? You know, we talk about seven-figure practices, and the roadmap to get there is been done. It's a proven system now. It's not something you have to forge on your own. What I want you to think of is not why I want just a seven-figure practice, but what would that do to change your life? How would your life look different if you had a seven-figure profitable practice? Because you actually can build a seven-figure non-profitable practice. That is not what we want. That's not what we're going for. This is why we have profit formulas in the data-driven practice, so that it's predictable. We know how to hire and scale and work with outside resources to help you scale your practice. But what would it mean to you if you had proper profit margins with a seven-figure practice? How would that impact you? Because I know for me, when I was building my practice, it meant more impact in my community. We were actually able to build a better, more qualified team that helped me in supporting me, where I didn't feel like I was having to do it all. Because there was a long time I felt that. I felt like everything landed on my shoulders. I wouldn't be doing this webinar with you guys today if I didn't have a supportive team who actually built everything. They're the ones that built the slide deck. They're the ones that built the workbook. They're the ones that drove the marketing and helped get you here. Like it's an incredible feeling to have a team that supports you. And having a seven-figure practice helps you unlock that to the point where you can really focus on incredible patient care, building a brand that's scalable. And so I invite you to write that in your workbook. Identify your why, really what drives you here, because so many platforms and strategies, they're just unclear on your investment. There's nothing worse than just handing over money to an agency with no measurable return that comes back. I hated working with agencies to where I would have meetings with them where they kept just trying to prove to me their value, but there was no data showing me true value. And I'm going to show you those metrics all the way through. The metrics that most agencies will share with you, and the metrics that you want to ask them to share with you. Because setting clear goals is our first step. You see, setting goals, it's a lot like the wind in your sails, right? It's not just enough to have a sail. We have to have the wind pushing the sail, filling the sail. And that's what goals do. But when you pair goals with your why, that's when we really start to see movement, momentum. I don't want to just set goals for the sake of setting goals. I want to set goals for clarity. You see, clarity comes from taking action and initiative. When you're working on content that resonates with your ideal patient personas, this is the process that you will start to build this. So, what are your goals with your ads? I'm going to show you all the way upstream the metrics, but I want to go beyond that. I actually want to share with you a more important goal that you need to clarify and share with your team. And that is the goal of marketing is to not just generate leads. It's to generate leads that are beginning to like you, know you, and trust you. If you're here on this call with me, hopefully within a pretty short period of time, you'll start to have affinity with me, right? I'm sharing this content because I want to give you value. I want you to be successful. There's a chance that if you're successful with my free content, there's a chance you might be even more successful with my paid content. The same concept with you and your patients, or before your patients, they're your leads, right? They're your community. When you go upstream to that pool of people that are not utilizing your services, your goal should just be to add value to their life. If you add value to your life, there's a pretty good chance that they want a relationship with you. That's what I want your goal to be. Showing up here today is to simply learn how to add more value to more people's lives. Does that make sense? Just give me an amen in the chat there if that resonates with you. That's what we're here to do. So let's start with the numbers. Now that we understand the main overarching goal, I want you to now in your workbook, I want you to target what is your monthly revenue goal target? Are you at $20,000 months trying to get to $30,000 months? Are you at $30,000 months maybe trying to get to $50,000 months? Are you at $50,000 months trying to get to $70,000 months? What is your revenue target goal? Because if you get really clear on that, the coolest thing about the data-driven practice is we work backwards, right? We have the math that simply works backwards to hit those targets. We can go all the way upstream to the volume of leads that need to be generated by simply following the math. So the second question begins that, right? How many new patient visits do you need to hit that number? We can simply look at your current collections. We can look at your new patient completed appointments now, and we can kind of project if nothing else changed, right? If no conversion metrics improved, what would we need to generate? Now, again, if you're not running ads, if you're not doing paid ads, maybe most of your new patients are coming from referrals. And if they're coming from referrals, there's a very different conversion process, conversion rate with referrals than there is with paid ads. So we can't apply the same conversion numbers to referrals as we do with paid ads. It's a different game, right? So we got to apply the right formulas. The third question is one of the most important questions we need our docs to answer. And that is, what is the average case value or the value of a new patient coming into your practice? Not LTV, right? LTV is lifetime value. We want to know that number because that's the real value of the patient coming into your practice. But even before that, when we look at the amount of money a patient's going to spend in your practice in the first care plan, that care plan might be anywhere from 2 to 6 months, depending on the complexity of the case and that patient coming into your practice. You need to know that number because then we can run the math. What does the math work? How does the math work? Knowing the amount of money that's going to come back to you within 3 to 6 months of that patient coming into your practice. The next metric you need to be tracking and knowing is what are those new patient kept appointment percentages. You got to track that. You got to know that because in working with an agency, you're going to be able to have much better conversations with them about from lead contact all the way to a showed lead, what we call a showed new patient. There's metrics within there that, again, we have to make the math work. And there's process that you can put in there step by step that we know that if a patient simply fills out a one-page intake form before their appointment, their chance of coming into your practice increases by 23%. So a 23% increased show rate just by having a patient fill out a simple form before their appointment. We also know that we get another 10% bump when a patient consumes your pre-day one video, which is a little bit of an instruction video, an inspiring video, a video to help them connect to your why, your purpose, your brand before they come to the practice. So if you know your new patient show rate, we then go upstream to, okay, what's the conversion rate from maybe what we call a consult to a full day one appointment? And there's different types of offers that you can offer based upon the experience that you want to create and depending on where these leads are coming from. If they're coming from referrals, we don't really need a free consult as much as we need them to now come into the practice ready to experience our full day one experience. But for colder leads, for paid ads, for social media ads, we want different offers that resonate with where they're at in the awareness scale. And again, that was one of the questions, right, that one of our docs asked is just how do we get patients more aware? Well, recognize that awareness is a process, and we need to build steps in raising that awareness in the process. Well, that leads us to number six. And this is how many qualified leads do we need to generate each week to reach that goal? This is critical. This is how the math works when you're working with an agency. We need a target goal for a month broken down by the week that we now know there is a math between this concept of leads versus scheduled leads, right? Two different concepts and a scheduled lead that's actually going to show. We have worked and worked and worked on offers to test show rates, and we now have the data that has proven the most effective offers that drive the highest show rates. So that's the numbers. That's where you've got to know these numbers. Now, this is my online dominance method. I'm not going to go through all of this today because this would be then like a 2-day event. But it starts with this concept of lead capture and nurture. Like you have to have a machine built in your practice for lead capture and nurture. Okay. You want a website that is your overarching message of what you do and how you do it. But then we want specific lead funnels, landing pages that are more than a page, an actual multi-mini website that really drives conversion for specific conditions. We want a strategy and game plan for your meta strategy, right? Facebook and Instagram ads. We want tracking, testing, and optimization. That means we need data. We have to have the data in order to drive this. We want Google profiles and local SEO to be able to get people in your area who are searching for your services to land with you. And then, of course, all of this ties into your social media and ads checklist, which we're going to give to you at the end of this masterclass. So here's the foundation checklist, right? Do you have a signature offer that is very relevant to your specific condition that you treat? We found that those who are offering your offer as a service only, right? Whether it's chiropractic, soft wave, neuropathy, if it's a service only, it does not resonate as much as a condition specific. So when you're speaking directly to the patient's pain for that specific condition which they're suffering with, we have a much higher conversion and quality of those. The next part is, do you have clear positioning that really sets you apart? Like what makes you different? You got to position yourself in the marketplace. And so the offer, the positioning needs to lead to a very clear educational qualification funnel where a patient now can go through that and really feel like you're an expert in their area. That is key. We have seen that just transformational. The next piece of the checklist are your ads, your paid ads aligned with your organic content. We found by working with docs who came into our paid ads who didn't have proper social content to back up their expertise do not get the same conversion metrics. In fact, we saw way higher new patient acquisition cost when there wasn't alignment. When we started auditing their Facebook pages, we started creating a scoring system that allows you to score your organic, um, it's your organic presence, right? What are you telling your community about you? And when that was weak and it was kind of all over the place, you just positioned yourself as a general practitioner, a general chiropractor, those lead costs skyrocketed. It wasn't until we added the ability to do clear messaging on both channels, building up the organic session, that all of a sudden it's like the paid ads just skyrocketed in their effectiveness and plummeted their lead cost. This was critical. The other key piece, you can't just run ads. You actually have to have automation. And with AI, it is amazing what we've been able to build now with email and SMS sequencing that feels very organic. It feels very authentic in your communication. And then, of course, lead tracking within that, like what's working, what's producing the best results, and where do I double down on my ad spend? And then, of course, looking at this using social proof. It is critical that not only do we are we building your reviews on those channels, we're also driving testimonials. We're also producing case studies, right? These are the checklists that you need to have in place in order to drive effectiveness. So I'm going to break this into three categories. Okay. Category number one is what we call your market. Who are you trying to reach? What we have found that if the very first thing you got to determine is who am I serving? This means people with conditions that are complex, but a lot of people have them, like things like disc herniations, TMJ disorders, migraine headaches, scoliosis, knee pain, neuropathy, right? These are very common conditions. And we can speak to those people directly when you are building ad campaigns that have value directly for them. You've heard the saying that it says that when you're trying to reach everyone, you end up reaching no one. And that's why your message has to match the specific audience you're trying to match. So we call it the market message. What is the message you're trying to get to your market? Once you pick, I want to specialize in disc herniations, right? I want to help people with neck and back pain and specifically radiculopathies with disc herniations. So when we define what's called the new patient avatar or what we call your new patient persona, the beautiful thing with GPT is we start building a profile on you. We actually build a custom GPT for you. We build your profile. We start researching and learning how you get your patients well. We start putting in social proof. We start building in technologies that you're using within your practice that will help clearly build messaging that attracts your ideal patient persona. And it is insane watching our AI assistants go to work and building you incredible copy and incredible offers. And then you're picking your media, right? What's the medium where my market lives? Do they live on Facebook? Do they live on Instagram? Do they live on YouTube? Do they live on TikTok? Like, where do they go to consume their content? Once we identify the ideal avatar, right, your ideal patient persona, we know the demographics, we know the metrics of where they live and consume content, and we can really start building that reach. So that's my question for you to start this off. In your workbook, I want to help you clarify what is your ideal patient persona. Well, we've built for you in the workbook an exercise. And this is an exercise that, again, we do with the AI assistant with our members. But this is really powerful because if you just spend a little bit of time going through your avatar, what are the pains and the frustrations of somebody suffering with a disc herniation? Well, you and I both know that it doesn't just one day show up as a disc herniation, that it kind of starts coming and going. They start seeing patterns, but they're not aware of those patterns. They start noticing that in certain positions, the symptoms become worse. They might start noticing that diet sometimes flare up their conditions. They start noticing that they're restricting their activity with their hobbies. They're not golfing like they used to. They're not mountain biking. They're not going for hikes, right? They start restricting their daily activities. Like these are the frustrations that they're dealing with. And the more that we can speak to those specific activities, what you and I know as ADLs, activities of daily living, when we can connect that to the ideal patient persona, we can speak directly to them. What are their fears and the implications if they don't fix this? So, this is called projection, right? We have to get our personas to project what their life looks like if they don't take action. What happens if they wait until surgery is the only option? You've got to start speaking to them in those terms because they have to understand a conditional state that we call fear of worsening. Fear is a powerful motivating factor, and we're not using it for manipulation, we're using it for awareness. Awareness is like what one of the doctors shared. They're frustrated because the patients aren't aware. But we've got to become master communicators at becoming aware. What's the consequence? That if your patient does not master and reverse this condition, their only option might end up being that they have to now do surgery because they're now losing bowel and bladder function. Their muscles are beginning to atrophy, right? Advanced nerve compression. What are their goals and desires? How do we speak to them in those goals and desires? What are their dreams and aspirations? Like they don't want to just get well. They want to become bulletproof. They never want to go back to this state again. And that's very different than their short-term goals versus their long-term goals, right? Goals and desires are short-term. We document that in our patient notes. But we also want to document long-term goals. That's the goals and aspirations. That's what we want to document. So when you understand this, right? When you understand the demographic, this is kind of an example of like building this out for a patient. So owns a home in a suburban or upper middle class area, right? We want to financially qualify them. They're around a certain age, right? So depending on the condition that you're treating, we can start targeting the right age. Mostly female audience, but some males included, but only because in most situations, most relationships, it's the females that take action when it comes to healthcare. We know that. You might be able to put in if they're married or not, their primary decision maker, their annual household income. Do they have strong family-oriented values? Meaning we know that when there's a family unit with kids, that there's a higher driven, what we call the duty mechanism, right? They feel duty to taking care of their family, and they know they got to get this taken care of because now it begins to impact the financial stability of their family, whether that's a husband or a wife who is driving revenues into the family, right? Becomes easily frustrated because they're not getting results. They're frustrated with the traditional medical system. They're seeking to help, make other people happy. They enjoy hobbies like, and you can list those, right? You can list those pains and frustrations one by one. You can list those fears and implications. You can list those goals and desires, right? So all of these things, you need to take the time in your workbook to list all of these. Over this weekend, I would highly encourage you to take the time to dial that in. This is a powerful exercise that, again, you can use AI tools to help you identify these specific targets around that. And again, this is an exercise that we do with our members. If you cannot see Joe Jones through Joe Jones' eyes, then you cannot truly heal what Joe Jones needs. Do you understand that? Does that make sense? The whole purpose of designing the ideal avatar is to understand your persona from their eyes. This is not trying to understand their persona from somebody else's eyes. You're trying to identify through their eyes. That's the power of it. So when you begin that and you figure this message out, right? This is those three-pronged system that we've developed to help you. Does your message match your market, and is it on the right media, right channel? Is it tuned into the right channel? That's the key. This is what we're trying to craft for you in order to target, reach those specific ones. This is what we see when we follow these steps. Practices who apply the data-driven practice frameworks, marketing frameworks, they have amazing success. But when you're not using these frameworks, you're trying to craft these blindly, you're just throwing marketing out there, you're just offering services out there, we do not see the kind of results that we see when these match. So, what is your message? I'm asking you specifically. Like, what benefits do you offer that your patients resonate with? These leads that you're trying to attract in your practice, how do you get them to resonate with you? You've got to speak to them directly. And so the message that works, we have found as we've tested the data, these are the three things that you want to try to implement in your messaging. Number one, we found out that by calling out your local area, that it felt more like they resonated with your message because you're local, right? You're somebody in their community that specializes in this specific condition. We also found that they want honesty. They just want to know that number one, there's a solution for them that's affordable. Now, when we talk about affordability, there's a lot of ways to make your care affordable. We do not want to make any assumptions. I use the phrase often with my patients when I was building my practice that, hey, listen, we're not the cheapest practice in town. I don't know that I would trust my health to the cheapest practice in town, but we're also not the most expensive. What we are is the highest quality for the best value. If you're looking for the best value, you've come to the right place. You can use that script. I'm giving that to you, that you can use that over and over to build the trust bridge with your leads. The third one is they want personalization. They want to know that they're not just getting some cookie cutter program. They really want to understand that you are specifically going to do a proper consultation, a proper diagnostic testing and exam, and that you're going to adjust your protocol for their specific needs. So when you identify a patient when what's keeping them up at night, right? At midnight, 2 a.m., they can't sleep. What are they Googling? What are they thinking about? What are the questions that they're having that if you could answer would build that immediate trust with them? That's what we're trying to accomplish. So here's just some examples that can help you with this. We use these different points of scarcity, urgency, social proof, and trust, right? These are the four things that we try to help our ads target. So pain relief starts today. Book your free consult, only 5 appointments left, right? That's scarcity, only 5 appointments left. You only have a limited number of appointments a day and per week. So using this scarcity is ethical. Limiting your time offer, right? Book now and get a free relief treatment if you book now, right? So this is urgency. You get an additional thing that if you take action. Here's social proof. Our patients love us. Clean, welcoming office with 5-star care, and then you're showing the 5-star ratings. Trust is your health guaranteed. Your health, we guarantee results. We will not waste your time or your money with our commitment to results guarantee. If we can't help you, we'll refer you to the type of facility that you need to go to who may specialize in your root cause. So we're going to find the root cause. We're going to build your specific care plan, right? That's custom to them. These are the things that we have found create the trust bridge. So just so far, right? Just so far in this, we're not done, but I want you to actually put in your workbook, what have I learned and what action could I take immediately from what I've already learned? What have you learned? But you got to connect that to the action. You see, knowledge without action doesn't get you more profits. What drives your profits is when you learn and you take action. So in this workbook that we're going through, I want you to pair that. I want you to pair what you've learned so far in this boot camp, and I want you to specifically write down the action steps that you're going to take because that's what's going to drive results. That makes sense? So this next piece of this is your content calendar. Now, one of the powerful things that, again, we do with our members is we help them build their content calendars. What in my message could I actually build? And if I would time block, now you're busy, you're successful, you're seeing patients, you're working with your team, you want a home life, right? You want to take vacations. The busier I've become in my careers, the more I realize I have to time block. I have to. And this becomes really critical for you to, on your weekly content calendar, here's my time block, and here's the content that I'm going to create within that content. So this is a combination of time to shoot video testimonials, time to do doctor educational videos, time to create offer posts, time to post on social media. When you time block and you follow that, then here's a checklist that will help you make that more effective. Number one, on your checklist, am I posting consistently with a clear mix of content? I don't want all of your posts to be just humorous. I don't want all of your posts to just be educational. I don't want all of your posts to be personal. I don't want all of your posts to be just clinical. I want them to be a variety, right? We as human consumers of content, we like variety. So this is where we're offering the opportunity for you to rotate through really valuable content that has variety to it. Number two, are you using real photos, right? Even with AI, there's an amazing ability to create now realistic images. But I'm telling you that there's still a massive connection that you will have with your community if they feel like your pictures are taken from your practice. They're organic. These are real pictures of you doing real things in your practice with a real team. That is going to be critical for you. I want you to look at reposting patient wins and testimonials into short form videos. Can you do a better job of creating these short form videos that lead specifically to CTAs? You can repurpose those. You can cut them up into reels. You can have long form content on channels that reward you for long form content. Your next one is content that speaks directly to your ideal patient persona. Again, are you giving helpful hints? This can be nutritional. This can be movement. This can be work related. This can be hobby specific. You see, when you rotate through those topics and you're creating content for your ideal patient persona, now you're speaking to them. You're speaking directly to them. And then again, are you reviewing performance monthly to double down on what's working? This is the data that we're talking about. You have to have this data engine that allows you to see. So what we have found that with launching the paid ads, these are the top paid ads campaigns that we're seeing. Number one, an ad group that is specific to a condition. And here's the format. Here's the framework. Number one, they have a pain point hook. That's what most patients are in the mindset. Top of mind, they have pain. Number two, what's the offer? The format is either an image or a video, and then we have to dial in the targeting. So when you start testing the ad groups, right, we might have ad group number one targeted to the specific condition of patient suffering with neuropathy. We might have a second ad group that is specifically testing, neck, back, disc, pain, but the format's the same, right? We're starting with the pain point hook. We're coming up with our offer. We're testing between image and video, and we're really targeting our ideal patient persona. And that's the format, right? That's how we build the format for these paid ads that lead to then metrics. Here's the data that you should be tracking in order to know if they're working. The first one that we're looking at is what we call the number of leads being generated. If I switch any of those four components of a campaign, it's going to impact the leads generated. The second metric that I want to know is what did it cost me to generate that lead? CPL, cost per lead. Cost per lead tells me top of the funnel metrics. This is the volume of people that I now have their attention based upon how much money I spent on that campaign. But I don't want to stop there because in working with past agencies, this is the success metric that they hung their hat on. At the data-driven practice, what we have found is this is a math problem to be solved. I want to know this data. There is a certain place that these have to be specific within a range for the math to work on the next most important one, which is the number of booked appointments. And working with agencies, I found that if I hired an agency that just filled my front desk with leads, my front desk hated me. Leads did not get followed up on in a timely manner. They started becoming so busy trying to follow up on leads, they were ignoring the patients right in front of them. And that was not healthy for our practice. We found that if in the data-driven practice, by bolting on a powerful call center, call concierge team to support the practice on qualifying the leads and handing you a booked appointment, it was life-changing for these practices. Then we work with you. We show you the steps you need to take to increase the show rate. We found the offers that drive the highest show rates. We also have tested in the data the checklist that if your team will do with those leads, it increases the show rate. We then track in our Blue IQ and in our documentation with our members on the conversion rates. Like how many of those leads are converting to care plans? And what's the collections being generated from those care plans, both short term and long term, by looking at ACV, average care plan rate, and LTV, lifetime value of that patient. Obviously, the better you are at nurturing that patient and keeping that patient long term, the more valuable they become, the bigger ROI you get on that. We now know, based upon your ACV and LTV, if we're even a good fit in marketing with a practice. If ACV and LTV are too low, then you don't really have the ad budgets. It doesn't make sense to use specific marketing mediums to drive your growth. And so we have to find a different way to market. And that's what really becomes powerful. Here's three action steps that you can take that as you go through this, I want you to write down in your workbook three action steps that you can specifically take this week. What's one, two, and three from what we've gone over this week? Is it to work on your message? Is it to identify your ideal patient persona? Is it to work with your agency to start looking at better data? Is it to start identifying and tracking average care plan value? Like there's a lot of action steps you could take this week. I want you to write them down in your workbook. And then I want you to identify who do you have to support you? What team member can support you? And then I also want you to identify who might I recruit to help me. This could be an external support. This could be an agency. This could be an HR system. This could be a coach or consultant, right? Who can help you both in the practice and outside of your practice? Because I think oftentimes when we look at taking action, we're in this silo of by ourselves, and trying to build this on an island all by yourself is challenging. When you actually identify and recruit help, we see better follow through. We see better outcomes. And that's why we want to build a data-driven team for you, not just a data-driven doc. So again, your biggest takeaways. What things have you learned? What actions can you take? And what would you like to share? Like put in the chat, either in the on the live stream in our chat section, or in if you're watching the replay. What are your biggest takeaways? What are your action steps that you could share with the community? I would love to know, because again, when we come to this point in our masterclass, we understand that a lot of our docs need help. And one of the things that, if you do need a little help, if you don't like your agency, if you're not getting the kind of results you should be getting, if you're not tracking the right data, this is what we specialize in. We specialize in done for you organic marketing, done for you ads launched and optimized, and done for you data tracking. This is what we specialize in. If you would like to explore what that might look like to get a little bit more help, and you're a $30,000 plus practice, meaning $30,000 months, you need to be in that $30 to $40,000 range to really afford running the kind of ads that are effective. If you're below that, then you probably need to start with your organic social media marketing. So either way, we can help you, but just understand the math has to work. Like you need to know at what levels to pull the right triggers. We call them profit levers in your practice. If you want to just talk about that, I do offer what's called a free cash flow blueprint, where I will look at your numbers with you on a call, and we'll identify like what's the right profit lever you should be pulling in your practice right now to help you get to the next level. These are the right steps in the right order to go from the 20 to $30,000 months, 30 to $40,000 months, 40 to $100,000 months, right? There are specific steps in the right order. Just simply DM me at doc.corey.14. That's my handle for my DM. Just shoot me and just say cash flow blueprint if you want my cash flow blueprint or more details about our done for you systems. I'd love to start that conversation with you. If you're here live, just simply comment below. My team's standing by to help you. Just comment below details. We'll send you that link to schedule that so that you can begin that conversation. These are real results, guys. This isn't something that we're watching our data in big ways. Dr. Michael Lee joined us just 4 short months ago. He sent this to me yesterday, and this is what he said. He said, "Doc Corey, we're focused on consistent growth, but the momentum that we've created feels huge. This is literally life-changing, man. Since June, we've been able to put away $70,000 into our savings account. We're taking home more money, and our overhead is actually less by working with you." And he said, "We still have a lot to work on, but man, things are shifting in a big way." So we're not saying we're going to deliver results in a week. We're not saying we're going to change your life in just the first 2 weeks. Like it does take time to build assets. But if you want to partner with somebody who understands how to build these in the right order, that's what we do. That's what we specialize in. That's what we want to help for you. Your practice deserves that. And it deserves to be making money even when you're not there. And that's what I'm all about. That's what I help our driven docs step into, the role of a CEO. It takes some work. It takes some time to build your practice on a solid foundation. But if that's of interest to you, of how to build a practice that consistently attracts, converts, and scales, then let's talk. If you want to take this information and go implement it on your own, then do that. Take action, please. We are here to help you build a powerful marketing strategy, an incredible data-driven practice that is going to help you drive growth and success for years to come, not just quick wins, not just a short, shiny object. These are the foundational things. Comment details below. My team will reach out to you. They'll schedule an opportunity for us to chat. I can't wait to meet you in person, look at your personal data, and help you build a proper roadmap to success. We've got so many resources to provide for you. You just have to ask and don't let your ego get in the way. I needed help. I hired so many coaches and consultants to get where I am. I did not do this by myself. Neither should you. Thanks for being here today and being a part of this incredible masterclass. If you love this, if you know another doc that could use this, share the live stream replay with them and give them a chance to implement some of these incredible strategies. Because I'll tell you, building seven-figure practices together is way more fun than trying to do it on your own.